You ever had everything fall apart in a moment? I'm talking about the kind of moment where it feels like the air is sucked out of the room. Your knees go weak, your mind goes numb, and all the plans, all the dreams, all the control you thought you had. In one breath, life throws something at you so hard, it knocks the belief right out of your body. You think, this is it. This is the end. I'm done. Setbacks are going to happen. Period. That's not negativity, that's life. You are not going to walk through this world without getting knocked on your back, without feeling the sting of rejection, the betrayal of someone you trusted, or the weight of a door slamming shut in your face after you gave it everything you had. That's part of the deal. So stop acting surprised when life throws you a curveball. You didn't fail. You didn't mess up. You're not broken. You're human, and humans fall. But here's the difference between the ones who stay down and the ones who rise. The ones who rise expect the fall. They don't let it catch them off guard. They know setbacks aren't personal, they're universal. They know pain isn't punishment, it's preparation. And the sooner you accept that setbacks are not just possible but guaranteed, the sooner you stop letting them control you. Because when you expect struggle, you're not thrown off by it, you're ready for it. That's the shift. That's where the power begins. When you stop asking, why me? And start asking, what now? When you stop thinking life owes you an easy path and realize that the hard path is the one that builds you. Most people get knocked down and think it's over. But the ones who are unbreakable, they know that moment of pain is just one page. It's not the whole story. You want to grow. You want to be unshakable. Then stop looking at setbacks like stop signs. They're detours. They're corrections. They're reminders that greatness isn't handed to you. It's earned. In the dirt. In the grit. In the days when you want to quit but don't. So the next time life hits you hard, don't be shocked. Don't fall apart. Take a breath, square your shoulders, and remind yourself, this is part of it. This is where I learn what I'm made of. Everyone wants to be strong, but nobody wants to do what it takes to become strong. Real strength isn't built in comfort. It's not built when everything's going your way. It's built when the world goes quiet, when you're alone with your thoughts, when the applause stops and you're left with just you, no spotlight, no praise, no safety net. That's where it happens. In the dark, in the silence, in the pain that no one else sees. You see, the world teaches you to hide your struggle, to pretend you're fine, to keep smiling while you're breaking inside. But I'll tell you something that most people won't say out loud in that quiet moment. When you're curled up in your own doubt, when you're tired of fighting, when you feel invisible, that's where the strongest parts of you are forged. That's where the fire starts, not on stage, not in front of a camera, but in the places no one claps for, because strength isn't about showing off, it's about showing up for yourself. When nobody else will, it's about waking up and choosing not to let yesterday's pain decide today's identity. And you can't fake that. You can't shortcut that. You have to earn it. You have to sit in the fire long enough to learn that it won't consume you. That's when you realize, this darkness, it isn't here to destroy me. It's here to develop me. So when you find yourself in that hard place, don't run from it. Don't numb it. Don't distract yourself with noise and nonsense. Sit with it. Let it teach you, because that's where the real work is done. And the ones who walk through the fire and refuse to be burned, they're not special. They're just committed. They stay. They endure. And when they come out the other side, they don't just survive. They own the storm. People love talking about motivation like it's some magic button. As if one perfect quote or the right playlist is suddenly going to light a fire in your soul and carry you through every challenge. Let me tell you the truth. Motivation is a liar. It'll show up when things are easy. When you're winning. When the path is clear. But the minute things get uncomfortable, the minute pain enters the room, motivation packs its bags and disappears. You can't rely on it. If you're waiting to feel motivated before you take action, you'll be waiting forever. That's not how strong people operate. That's not how warriors are made. The ones who overcome setbacks, who walk through chaos and don't flinch. They don't wait for a feeling. They don't depend on mood. They depend on discipline. They lean on decisions made in advance. Not feelings, not inspiration. Decisions. You do the work even when your heart's not in it. You show up even when everything in you screams to quit. That's discipline. And discipline doesn't need to feel good to be effective. It just needs to be consistent. Because every time you follow through when you don't feel like it, you're not just making progress. You're building a mindset that doesn't bend when things get hard. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the engine. And when setbacks hit, when life throws you into the deep end, the spark won't be enough. You'll need the engine. You'll need that voice inside that says, I don't care how I feel. I made a commitment. I finish what I start. That's how you push forward. That's how you rebuild. Not because it feels good, but because you said you would. And that integrity, that's where your power lies. When everything around you feels like it's falling apart, your instinct will be to stare into the darkness, to obsess over the problem, to replay the failure, to sit in the weight of what went wrong. That's natural, but it's also dangerous. Because the more you focus on the dark, the more power you give it, the more it grows. And that's how people get stuck. Not because they're weak, but because they stop looking for the light. The light doesn't have to be blinding. It doesn't have to fix everything. It just has to be there. A reason, a purpose, a reminder of why you keep going. And sometimes that light is small, a sentence, a name, a memory of who you promised yourself you'd become. That flicker, that's enough. But you have to choose to focus on it. You have to train your mind to find it in the chaos. Because if you don't, the chaos will consume you. You don't overcome setbacks by pretending the dark isn't real. You overcome them by refusing to be defined by it. You get up and say, I see what's around me. I feel the pressure, but I will not lose sight of what I still have, what I'm still fighting for. That's not delusion. That's discipline. That's how people make it through the fire without losing themselves. Everyone will face pain. Everyone will experience loss. The difference lies in what you choose to focus on. And if you can train yourself to lock onto that one spark in the middle of your storm, you'll find your way out. Not because the storm stops, but because you never stop searching for the way forward. There's a moment when you're flat on your face. Emotionally, mentally, sometimes physically. And everything in you wants to just stay down. That voice in your head starts whispering, maybe this is it. Maybe I'm not strong enough. And if you listen to it long enough, you'll start to believe it. That's how people break. Not all at once, but piece by piece, moment by moment, by agreeing with that voice. But here's the truth, you're going to feel broken sometimes. You're going to feel tired, overwhelmed, invisible. That doesn't make you weak. That makes you human. What determines your strength isn't whether you fall. It's whether you refuse to let the fall become your identity. Strength is that quiet, unshakable decision you make when nobody is clapping, when no one is watching, when you whisper to yourself, get up. You refuse to break not because it doesn't hurt, but because you've decided that your purpose is bigger than your pain. You don't let people's opinions, your past mistakes, or today's chaos define your worth. That's where the sheet happens. When you stop reacting to what's happening to you and start responding from who you choose to become. That's power. That's how you stop being a victim and start becoming a force. Because the most dangerous thing in the world isn't failure. It's surrender. And the strongest people I've ever seen weren't the ones who had perfect lives. They were the ones who were knocked to their knees 1,000 times and stood up 1,001. Not because it was easy, but because they made a promise to themselves, I will not break. I will rise, every single time. Pain is a part of the process. You don't get to skip it. You don't get to outrun it. And you sure as hell don't get to avoid it if you want to grow. The question isn't, will I feel pain? The question is, what will I do with it? Because pain can destroy you, or it can become the fuel that builds something stronger, something sharper, something unshakable. Most people treat pain like an enemy. They run from it, numb it, bury it. But let me tell you something. That pain you're carrying, that heartbreak, that failure, that betrayal, that's the raw material of power. If you're brave enough to face it, to feel every part of it without flinching, without folding, that pain will teach you more than any success ever could. It will show you who you are. It will strip away everything fake and leave only what's real. You've got to stop looking at pain as punishment. It's not here to ruin you. It's here to refine you, to burn away the weakness, to expose what's underneath. You think strength is built in your victories. No, strength is built in your breaking points, when your heart is shattered but you choose to show up anyway, when your plan falls apart and you rebuild from nothing. That's the moment the shift happens. That's when pain stops being your enemy and becomes your power. The people who walk into fire and come out steel, they didn't do it because they were fearless. They did it because they understood something most people don't do. Pain is a weapon when you own it, so don't waste yours. Don't bury it. Don't pretend it didn't matter. Channel it. Use it. Let it sharpen your focus. Let it drive you. Let it remind you exactly why you're still standing. Because every scar is proof that pain tried to break you and failed. Stop chasing validation. Stop waiting for someone to tell you're enough, that you're on the right track, that your work matters. Because if your strength depends on applause, then your weakness begins the moment the clapping stops. That's a dangerous way to live, needing permission to rise, needing someone else's approval just to keep going. Growth doesn't come from people liking you. It comes from you respecting yourself when no one's watching. It comes from choosing discipline over distraction, choosing the grind over the hype, because the people who become unstoppable, they don't need an audience. They don't need permission. They do the work in silence. They evolve in private, and they let their results make the noise. You want to overcome setbacks? Then understand this. You don't grow through comfort. You grow through pressure, through stretching, through discomfort. That's the price. And the only validation that counts is the one you give yourself when you know you pushed through without shortcuts, without applause, without needing to be seen. Validation fades. Growth lasts. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be built. So stop performing, start building, and never forget it. You didn't come this far to impress people. You came this far to become something no one can take from you. There will be days when you don't feel strong, when your body is tired, your mind is heavy, and everything in you wants to step back, shut down, disappear. You'll look in the mirror and not recognize the person staring back. That's real. That happens. But strength isn't a feeling. It's a choice. And if you wait to feel ready before you act, you'll never move. You don't wait to feel strong. You act strong, even when you're falling apart. That's what separates the resilient from the rest. They don't rely on emotion. They rely on identity. When it's hard, they say, "This is who I am. This is what I do." They show up when it's uncomfortable. They speak truth when their voice shakes. They keep going when their legs are unsteady. And over time, they build a kind of toughness that doesn't need to be loud. It just is. Because action creates momentum, and momentum builds confidence. You don't become strong by thinking about it. You become strong by proving it to yourself over and over again. So on the days when you feel weak, step forward anyway. Do the hard thing anyway. Because every time you do, you chip away at the doubt. And reinforce the truth you're stronger than you feel. There's a moment in every setback when you get to decide what the story becomes. You can let the moment define you. Let it label you as a failure, a victim, someone who almost made it but didn't. Or you can flip the script. You can look that failure dead in the face and say, "You don't get to write my ending." I do. Because your power isn't in what happens to you. It's in how you respond. Most people let circumstances shape them. They let loss turn into bitterness, rejection into self-doubt, adversity into identity. But the ones who rise, they take the hit, and then they choose what happens next. They use the pain as fuel. They use the failure as data. They don't let the moment write them off. They let it wake them up. The truth is, life is going to throw things at you that didn't ask for and didn't deserve. But what you do after, that's what defines who you become. Not the setback, not the storm. You, and once you realize that, you stop waiting for circumstances to change and start becoming the kind of person who can't be shaken, no matter what comes. Because power isn't given. It's claimed in the moment you decide this isn't where your story ends. There is something inside you that no one else can touch. That fire. That inner light. Maybe it's buried right now. Maybe life has tried to smother it. Through heartbreak, through failure, through disappointment so deep it made you question who you are. But here's the true thing: that light never goes out. It flickers, it dims, it hides. But it never dies unless you let it, and people will try to dim it. Life will throw things at you that feel impossible. It'll break your rhythm, attack your confidence, make you doubt your worth. But that's the test. That's the moment where you either hand over your power, or you fight like hell to protect it. You guard your fire. You feed it with discipline, purpose, and the decision to keep showing up, even when no one sees the flame but you. You don't need permission to let it burn. You don't need applause to make it matter. That fire inside you is your resilience. It's your voice. It's your refusal to quit. And when you own it, fiercely, people feel it. You become undeniable. You become a force. So don't wait for someone to light you up. You're already lit. Let it burn. Let it lead. Let it make everything around you catch fire. So here's the truth you can't ignore. Life will test you. It will push you to your edge, break you open, and leave you standing in the dark with nothing but your breath and a choice. And in that moment, you will decide to stay broken or build yourself back stronger. That decision is everything. You don't overcome setbacks by avoiding pain, waiting for motivation, or looking for someone to save you. You overcome by choosing to rise when everything says you should stay down. You overcome by focusing on the light, even if it's just a flicker. You overcome by acting strong, even when every part of you feels weak. Because that's how warriors are made. Quietly, relentlessly. So when it all feels heavy, when you don't know how you're going to make it through, go back to the fire inside you. Protect it. Fuel it. Let it remind you of who you are. You're not here to collapse. You're here to conquer. You're not here to fade into the dark. You're here to light the way. And no matter what comes next, you don't just survive it. You own it.